Hey YouTubers, and we're back again with another Dragon Ball discussion. Actually, Dragon Ball Super this time, but who's really counting or really cares at this point? You saw the title, you know what you clicked in for, you know what you're getting yourself into. And honestly, guys, I want you to give a warm welcome to our guest today, Kaioshin Curt. Curt, what's up? Thank you for joining us for the first official video for you and me.
Yeah, no, it's first time one-on-one, isn't it? And it's going to be fun. But yeah, I'm happy to be on your channel and to speculate this beast of a topic today.
I think it's kind of a beast. And honestly, if y'all know who I am or my favorite characters in Dragon Ball, maybe I am the person to come in and talk about this, because a lot of people these days are talking about, where's Gohan? Gohan's being forgotten about this in this all this stuff. Where's Goten? Where is Goten? I'm serious. Where is Goten in all of this? Because Goten, in my opinion, needs to be there. I mean, this arc is kind of focusing on Trunks really heavily, and obviously a lot of people want Gohan to be there because Gohan means a lot to future Trunks. But Goten is kind of the same person that would mean a whole lot and have kind of a character weight to Kid Trunks or present time Trunks or whatever you want to call him. And before we actually really get started on this, maybe Curt has something to say about this, but I have to admit, I have never been a Chi-Chi hater. I have never been the person to sit there and argue that Chi-Chi has been around and she's just been stopping Gohan from living out his dream of becoming the next savior of Earth or any of all this stuff. Gohan's a grown-ass man. He has made his choices throughout all of Dragon Ball, and he's even he stood up to her before. We've seen that when he went to Namek. We saw that when he fought with the androids and all the Cell games and everything. I mean, Gohan isn't just he isn't a pushover. He fights against Chi-Chi. But in Super, they seem to be kind of putting it in a side where, Goten just kind of gives in to Chi-Chi. It's like, all this stuff was happening. Oh, Future Trunks is back. Everyone gets like kind of concerned and everything. And Chi-Chi is just like, no, Goten, you have to go and study. You have to go and study. And the thing that makes me mad about that is the fact that Trunks was studying with the Pilaf gang at Capsule Corp. Why aren't these two guys are best friends? And obviously, or at least they tell us that, Bulma's family and the Sun family are best friends or friends to some degree. Why can't Bulma help supplement Goten's education if she's already going to be teaching Trunks? It's all over the place. So my question is, I'm not a Chi-Chi hater, but are they just using her to kind of throw Goten under the bus and he's just going to disappear throughout this whole arc? Curt, what do you have to think?
Well, she certainly seems like a vehicle for that. She's I'd say she's being quite unreasonable, and we spoke about before this about how she was saying that I don't care what's going on. You got to study. That's the number one thing, and that in itself just seems unreasonable. And imagine if something really real was going on, and she's still saying that. Black Goku showed up. Yeah, well, that was one thing. But what if, the whole Earth comes under fire? And she's like, no, as long as you're studying, you're good, you're fine. But, when we're talking about Goten and Trunks, they are the inseparable duo. And to now see them, separated so much, when we were comparing the Buu arc and Super, it's starting to seem so different. And I just wonder, This actually does seem like quite a good theory that Goten's going to be wiped out. Because if he is studying at home, what are we going to see of him? Are we going to see him, come over for a party? Or is he going to see him, at Kame House maybe some point? And they haven't really done that in Super very much. But he's essentially going to be stuck with Chi-Chi in the home and just studying, and that would just seem that would seem like they're limiting him, and they're obviously just like putting him in a corner and not making much opportunity for him to get involved now. And that would be different from what we've already seen in Super. We saw a lot of Goten and Trunks recently in that mini arc with the Manaka arc, the Patafu episodes, and that was great. But obviously I agree with you, and everybody should agree that Trunks and, future Trunks need to be the focus. But for Goten to come in there and also participate would be really nice to see. And when you made the point about Goten being taught at Capsule Corp, that would make a lot more sense than him studying at home, because Capsule Corp can afford to have the best tutors, the best teachers in the whole world. And, there's that woman there, that maths tutor, she got completely freaked out by all that stuff. But that's not going to stop her from coming back and getting all that money to tutor all, both Goten and Trunks. Why doesn't Chi-Chi just ship him over there, let him fly every day, give him some good food in the morning, and then, just educate? Get on it. Use your brain, Chi-Chi. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
I mean, maybe it's Chi-Chi. Maybe it's Chi-Chi's really proud. And like I said, I'm not a huge hater of Chi-Chi. I think she's a really well realized character, at least for basically what they're trying to go with her. The point is like we said before, this whole arc is going to be basically about the brotherhood, not only between Gohan and Trunks, but also we're expecting to see a lot between future Trunks and Kid Trunks. That's what I'm really expecting to see. But at the same time, I feel like when you talk about Kid Trunks, just because of what was kind of put in the Buu arc, what we've seen in filler arcs, or basically any part of Dragon Ball Super, you cannot really talk about Kid Trunks without kind of bringing up Goten. That I don't necessarily know exactly how this series is going to go if they keep kind of throwing Goten under the bus and allowing him to just kind of sit on the sidelines while everyone else does everything that they're doing, and just allow Trunks to kind of bond with his future self. I realize that's what they're going for, but I feel like...
Oh no, I know what you're thinking, because you were saying in that debate that Goten is like the future that future Trunks fought for. So obviously they need to interact, and it needs to be like, well, this is someone I never met because of the events that happened in my future, in my timeline. So that is a special relationship that we have never seen, and if they don't utilize that, well, that's another wasted opportunity for Super. But also, building on what you said about Gohan coming back into the series a bit, I welcome that. But then why does it mean that we have to slack off on another character, Goten, who was heavily involved before? So, why can't they just kind of integrate both of them? Because they are very important members of the whole story, the Sun family and the the Vegeta's family and all that kind of stuff. So, we just need to see them both. But I see what you're saying. They're writing Goten out. It just so seems that way, and yeah. But that's all my thought for the minute.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. And yes, I have made that point a whole lot in the past, where basically Goten is the child of the future of the present timeline. Not so much that obviously Trunks is the child of the future, but without Trunks and all the despair and hope and everything that kind of came with the Cell Saga, we wouldn't have Goten. He's the embodiment of all this stuff that Trunks fought for. And by seeing Goten, there should be some kind of emotion there, some physicality, some wow, I can't believe this. But obviously, the problem with that is it's probably going to go to not only... That probably won't just go to Goten. It will probably be saved and kind of expressed upon with Pan as a character.
That's a good point.
I feel like that's another thing. It's like they have so many options. They don't necessarily even need Goten for this arc. It's just kind of something that it's a bit little depressing for Goten fans, or just fans of like any other character besides Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and Gohan. Even Gohan fans are depressed right now about like...
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen that on my comment section loads.
About exactly how much Super just wants to forget about all these other potential amazing chemistry moments or just character moments that we can see between this person or this person or this person in this series, to focus on, the same old type of stuff. So having Goten kind of sit out this arc, I'm anticipating it, but at the same time, I wish they would just really wouldn't. I think not only just having him and Kid Trunks together, kind of with the whole concept of fusion, and there's all that speculation about whether they're going to bring back fusion or not, and then there's kind of this idea is like, well, we're going to have Gohan and future Trunks fuse, and then seeing Goten and Trunks fuse, and all this. There's so much possibility there. There's so much kind of brotherhood, something to help express not only Goten and Gohan's relationship, but also kind of help Kid Trunks kind of see that relationship between Goten and Gohan, and also not with his future self, but also kind of come to terms with not having a sibling and everything. And then might even be a really cool way to kind of bring in Brawl at some point. So actually Trunks gets a sibling and, yada, yada, yada. We see all this kind of character development and expressions between characters that we wouldn't necessarily see before. And this is the type of stuff that you can only really get with Goten, I think. You need kind of an idea of, well, Trunks has to be like in movie 12, or no, in movie 13, Wrath of the Dragon. The Tapion star arc was
yeah.
Well, Gohan, he envies Goten because he has Gohan, but this guy's kind of like his big brother, and that's kind of what he's doing. He's pretending that this is. They can replay that concept, and as long as we can get Trunks can get a better understanding of how Goten and Gohan interact and everything with his future self. And then at the end of this arc, we can finally see Brawl enter the story.
Yeah, who knows? They might actually be thinking along those lines. I really hope so, because that would be something of great credit to Super. But I just wanted to quickly say that I feel as though if they write Goten out, it's going to undermine what Super is. Because, we've noticed that Super's very good at these slice of life episodes. And, we're talking about these great opportunities for Goten to help, these character developments to happen. And if they cut him out, then it's kind of undermining the show and how we see that it does best. You can't say that, it doesn't do. You can't say that the slice of life isn't where the strength of the show is, and it's such a joy to watch. And then if you just take out Goten, you're just not gonna get that, as much, because he's the child, he's the one that everyone loves, and everyone, he hasn't done a thing wrong, and no one can say a thing wrong about him. And he's just, he's just so sweet in there, and he contributes a lot in those kinds of episodes. We've seen it in the Manaka arc, Patofu,
and
all
the
that.
first episode and everything. Yeah. I completely agree, and I feel like they're wasting so much potential by leaving Goten out that it's just, I don't know why. I mean, they're leaving wasted stuff on not having Gohan there at this point, or kind of keeping out a majority of the series and everything. It's just there are other casualties. I think the point of this video is there are other casualties to this series being just the Goku and Vegeta show than just they're not focusing on Gohan. Obviously, they're not focusing on Goten, Piccolo, Boo, any of these other characters. 18, Videl, Mr. Satan got some screen time at the beginning, but it's largely been kind of taken out of the story as of right now. It's just,
absolutely.
They really need to kind of try to bring these people back at some point and not forget that they're there and there's potential to their characters in the entire story.
I agree, because there's sometimes just that miss of they miss the actual spirit and capturing the spirit of Dragon Ball sometimes. I just feel that with the series, and I completely agree. That's where it lies. These casualties of other characters, that's really holding it back and making it feel fully like what the Dragon Ball we know. I know that's quite a deep thing, and other people say absolutely not. Super's the best Dragon Ball we've ever had, but I really don't quite think so yet. We'll
see. I mean, it still has a few weeks of guaranteed episodes left, and then it will probably have a lot more as we go on. But anyway, guys, I think that's really all we really have to say on the matter. Obviously, we want to see Goten back in this story. We want to see other characters get spotlights too. I want to see how Trunks reacts to 18. I want to see how Trunks reacts to Goten. I want to see how Trunks reacts to Pan and all this stuff, and maybe we'll get that in the next episode. But Curt, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. And guys, please go make sure to subscribe to Kaioshin Curt. He makes amazing content. He does some pretty in-depth videos that y'all might really enjoy. Anyway, guys, that's it for us. We hope y'all have a good day. Bye.